So Brad, one of the things that stuck out in the Microsoft call yesterday was that they said that the majority of advertisers have not been updating their ad copy. So, I mean, I guess that's just a reminder, think about ad copy across all of your channels, all of your, not necessarily your highest spending campaigns, all of your campaigns, and make sure that all your messaging is in sync. But I'm curious to see, I know that we had touched base, I don't know, probably a couple weeks ago, and you hadn't really seen much movement yet.
And I still haven't, right? I mean, you have the ones who are the super obvious stuff, right? The Zoom, the Netflix, right? The super obvious ones have done some things about that. But you're not seeing a lot of others who have different ways of thinking about their services these days, updating with what's going on. And I don't know if that's because they suddenly were scattered, to their homes and there's not centralized messages like that they thought about. But I've sort of been amazed at a lack of positioning. They are for new stuff, but not for existing things.
Well, I'm going to take a little bit of a contrarian position on that. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, we can. You're back.
Right. So I think we're kind of looking at this on a week by week basis when it comes to especially industrial B2B, because there are a couple of things we need to know. We need to know if our clients' supply chains are having disruption. And where there's disruption in the supply chain, we want to be able to take things offline or adjust inventory. So I think we're kind of looking at this week by week by week. So the very first week, what we observed was about a halving of traffic, in some cases three-quarters a decline in traffic. And once people settled in at home, we started to see a little bit of a lift in traffic. But what we've tried to do is we've tried to go through with all of our clients to make sure that we are not selling past their capabilities. And then as well, what we're trying to do is expect that the lag time between a lead and a sale will take longer, and so our metrics are going to be off. So we've cut spend in most places. What we've tried to do is to keep our middle of the road search campaigns functioning, because if someone is looking for an industrial heater, you're looking for it whether they're on the face of the moon, at the office, or at home. And so I don't think we have to message Corona around that. And I think there are things we can do very subtly to message that if we have anything that does play into the urgency and that people are specifically looking for urgently in the Corona environment, then you might want to add words like medical or microbial or blah, 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 disinfectant. Just add some subtle changes. But what I would encourage people not to do is to greenwash or do the equivalent of greenwashing your messaging. In other words, don't Corona wash your message.
Well, you mean like trying to look opportunistic?
Yeah. So just to make sure you don't try to over message to the Corona. Okay.
Yeah.
That being said, there are subtle things you can do, right? Where you have some B2B industries that are all based on in-person meetings and handshakes, where they could be changed to be like, we do, virtual meetings now this way, or we do, so like some of the no contact stuff. And there have been some who have subtly done this via site links and call outs, not a lot, without changing the message, just to adding a little bit in there. And you're in a purely industrial B2B area, it probably doesn't matter a whole lot. Those aren't things you're as much worried about. If you're B2B insurance, suddenly that does change how you may do your messaging.
Yeah.
I'd say around some of that stuff. Sorry, go ahead, Jenny.
No, go.
Okay. I think one of the things that I would have around that is like, I don't have a problem doing I'll say a lot, even though it's not really an amount, a lot of messaging toward the coronavirus, anything like that, as long as whatever you're offering backs it up. and is that specific. So like some of the things that we're trying to do, we're not doing a lot of really overt messaging towards the coronavirus anyway, just because it feels like kind of jumping on a negative trend there. But there are some things that we're rolling out that are like some of those pieces of content, like I talked about, that are very geared toward this, and the content themselves mentions it quite a lot and is really geared toward that sort of thing. So I think that if you want to do that and you're trying to have your messaging really heavy that way, just make sure that you back it up. And it's not just that you shoved a bunch of instances of the word coronavirus in your stuff, even though you don't have any difference in your offering or whatever you're trying to give. Like you can't just SEO keyword stuff the crap out of it and have it be any type of value. Really only frame it that way if you're providing specific value.
Yeah, but to take it like an example, right, is we would see B2B companies who would be focused on corporate training events, right? And their ads would be like, come join the party. Well, that's not a really good message to put out there right now. And so some of those have also not changed their messaging, right? And those are the ones that probably should be thinking maybe that's not a good message right now. And it's not, they may not change it to be Corona focused, but they probably should change it to not be group sitting in a room focused, right?
Yeah.